going on, everybody? You know what time it is. It is time for the young and the rowdies. And I got to tell you, this is going to be one of my favorite episodes all time. But before we get into that, thank you guys for sharing this show, for allowing me this opportunity. Shout out to the Field of 68 Media Network for letting me host this Florida Gator podcast and just getting a chance to connect with you guys and relive the glory days. This next guest, he really needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it for you anyway. He is from Venice, Florida, and he's actually going to, before that, he's our first non-basketball related guest, even though he might say he can hoop, and he beat me in 2K. So he didn't beat me in 2K. He killed me in 2K. I'm sure he remembers that back in the day. But he played for the Gators in 2010 to 13. He set the record for the most touchdowns, broke Tim Tebow's record for the most touchdowns in a game, making that at 6. There's many other statistics to get into for this guy, and I don't want to leave you guys with a cliffhanger, but we'll just go ahead. My one and only brother, Trey Burton. What's going on, my guy? How you doing?
My guy, thanks for having me, dude. I'm doing well. You good?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. It's life, man. Life is moving. Life is moving forward. Just making the most of each day. Where are you at right now? Down in Tampa?
Yeah. My family and I, we live in Tampa, kind of by the airport, South Tampa area. So we love it, man. It's been perfect for the fam, and we've been thriving down here.
I went down to Tampa a few weeks ago, or a month and a half ago, I think, and I was like, if my family wasn't here in Jacksonville, I would go to Tampa is it.
It's booming right now, bro. I mean, every way you look, there's new buildings going up, and just the construction's crazy. People flocking here, like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of people don't realize this, but the only thing that sucks about Tampa is there's no beach here, so you got to go to St. Pete. But I mean, really 25 minutes you're in St. Pete, you're 15 minutes, you're downtown St. Pete, 25 minutes, you're at the beach in St. Pete. So it's not too far away.
Yeah. My boy went to, what's the name? The Eckerd.
Yeah.
And
right
I went down there to go see St. Pete a few times, and I was like, man, what am I doing with my life? And Clearwater Beach is, I think it's the number one beach in Florida.
Yeah.
As well.
No, in America. In America. Yeah. Clearwater and Siesta Key and Sarasota are usually 1, 2, or 3 in America over the last 5 or 10 years.
I know you've been to Frenchie's.
Oh yeah. Of course. It's a great spot, man. It's just cool. You got 2 different types of lives. You can be city life or you could be beach life. And it's all within 30 minutes from each other.
Can you golf a little bit?
You know what? Funny you asked. I'm actually going to start my my golfing career tomorrow morning. So going to start getting out there and messing around. I used to tell people I fish way too much to do both and have a family and have kids. So I kind of have chosen the fishing route. And now that, fishing is going to start slowing down a little bit going into the winter and it being too cold, I'm going to start picking up golf a little bit.
What I've learned, because I played golf for a while, but now that I'm officially not playing ball, I was like, I'm taking all of my competitive energy and putting it into golf. And golf is it's so mental. For some reason, you see that little white ball and you want to kill it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm going to throw my back out. I can already tell you that right now. I'm glad we're doing this today and not tomorrow, because I'd be in bad shape.
You really got to just I have to tell myself, let the club do its job. If I just have, it's so, and if you watch, because my sister, she played golf in Florida State. Yeah. When you watch the lady golfers, their swings are so technical and beautiful, man. They have the best golf swing, and they're not playing power golf. The guys get out there. If you watch anybody swing to try to emulate, find you a good pro, LPGA Tour pro, and she has an awesome swing.
Yeah. They, you guys got a lot of good golf courses up there in Jacksonville, some of the best in Florida, I think, right?
We got Sawgrass. I played that one time, and I played that a few weeks ago. It was Tom Coughlin's tournament.
Yeah.
They got the famous 17th hole.
Yeah.
Bro, I hit the ball just straight, not even like because Coach Coughlin was on 17, like with the tent, and he's just hitting balls, just connecting with everybody, all the groups that are coming through. And he's like, "What's up, Big Pat? You gonna pull one off for me?" I was like, "This guy, this one right here,
Yeah.
Bro. My ball didn't go 6 feet. That joint went."
That's wild.
I was like, you know what, Coach? That's my most embarrassing golf moment. And now from on, I can't do any worse than that. So I'm gonna be good now. I'll never forget this.
That's funny, bro.
So what's been going on, bro? What you been up to? Fill the people in.
Nothing, man. Just been hanging at the house. I got 3 kids that are pretty active right now. So it's been kind of cool to be in one spot for a whole entire year and not be moving around or have to spend half of the year in one place, half the year in another place. From kids' sports to their school to training, and I'm trying to figure out, what I want to do with my life. So just, kind of staying busy from that standpoint. Enjoying my time with the wife. All 3 of my kids are in the same school,
That's dope.
which is great. So we have all mid-morning and mid-afternoon off, for the most part. And just, spending time with her and trying to see, what she likes and what she wants to do, with her life as well.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Like what kind of things have you been envisioning? I know you've always been a man of just great connection and not just singular, obviously being present and being focused on that, but always also just having a bigger vision. And as being not only my friend, but my brother in Christ, that you're made for more, that you're made for more than just worldly things and just focusing on yourself. But, what are some things that you're considering or, you have been involved in that you can see yourself doing even more of?
Yeah, well, my wife has her real estate license, and so we've kind of been doing that. Nothing crazy, nothing advertised, just friends and family type stuff. So it's been fun, kind of watching her take off with that. I mean, honestly, I've just been going slow, dude. Like how it is, dude. You go for your whole entire life. I mean, shoot, I'm 29 years old. I started playing ball when I was 5, so 24 years of just nonstop, same schedule. And a lot of people don't realize that. So all my friends and, buddies around me are like, what are you going to do next? I'm like, well, bro, like I legit just want to chill, I want to sit in a chair and I want to watch every game on Saturday and every game on Sunday, and just relax and enjoy it, and then during the week, do what I need to do to stay busy and, stay in shape and that type of stuff. But I mean, honestly, I just want to take like a couple months off and just relax for a little bit. So, but yeah, like you said, man, like I enjoy the connections. I enjoy meeting people, especially, the Gator Nation and the network that we have here in Tampa, which is pretty cool. And so just, dabbling here and there, you don't really get to do much from a business or a work standpoint, while you're in season and while you're all over the place and in different cities and different states and countries and stuff. So, just trying to get our feet on the ground and find our footing, and, kind of go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I wholeheartedly believe just enjoy the moment. Cause it was such a blessing, bro, when the pandemic happened for me, because I was just so used to go, move. What do I need to do now? And then I was in Gainesville, January and February of last year. I was training in Gainesville with the strength coach and just thinking about what's next and just getting to that point. And then campus got shut down. So I couldn't train there anymore. So I came home and, I didn't know what was next. I stayed with my parents for like 4.5 months.
Yeah.
And like as an adult, I had never spent that much time with my parents. And it was really cool. Just us, getting the chance to bond and do stuff. And it's like, let me stop worrying about what's next. Like what's important is right now. Like
for sure.
I get to, me and my dad, because I was still thinking about playing ball. We had the same hoop from when I was a kid.
No way.
Bro, oh, it's done now. It retired. So that hoop had to be over 20 years old, and it made it through all the weather damage and everything.
Yeah.
But we put it back into the driveway, and then we started doing like ball handling drills and just like working on the form and just like every time, like especially if you shot deep from deep, you would think like the rim was gonna break off, but that joint was working. You couldn't dunk. You can't dunk on this joint. You can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's funny. Like, we as athletes are always so used to like what's next and moving instead of just like enjoying the moment.
Well, I mean, you always got to prepare for the next season. When you're done with that season, or shoot, when you're in that season, you got to prepare for the next opponent. So there's always stuff that's going on, and you always want to improve and always want to keep better. But I think that's one of the cool things that came out of the pandemic is like people got to spend a lot more quality time with their families. I know like for me specifically, like you're stuck in a house. I can't tell you how many walks we've done, and how much, what that kind of started, for our family and just the good habits and routines and stuff that we, got to create during those times. But that's the unspoken about, because obviously the pandemic, hurt a lot of people, but that's some of the unspoken things that people don't really talk much about is how they benefited, from the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, as well as I do, we put the lens of gratitude on, that's one of the, I follow like a lot of those biohacker guys like Dave Asprey and that just do all these crazy things. They say they're going to live to be 200 years old or whatever. They just do all kinds of crazy stuff. And one thing that Dave Asprey said from all the tests that he did and all this stuff, he said practicing gratitude every single day. Like even if it's something simple as 3 things you're grateful in the morning and 3 things that happen at that night are like profound on just how you view everything in life. Because yes, you can be in a situation where the circumstances suck, but like, can you see? Do your fingers work? Like, do you have running water? Do you have food? Do you have a bed to sleep in? Do you have shoes and clothes to wear? Like living in a free country, like it's not limited, but it's really awesome that you had that mind. What were some of the things that you guys did during the pandemic? You said you started a walking tradition.
Bro, we walked for hours because like down here in Florida, it's not as strict as a lot of other places. I mean, as you would know, but like, man, we walked for miles. We got to beach it a lot. We just got to do stuff together as a family because you're forced to do it, together as a family. So board games. The kids and I started like going through the Book of John and trying to like kind of teach them and how to do a Bible study. Obviously, they're 8, 6, and 4, so I don't know how much they actually picked up, but it was a good time. They wanted to do it. They're asking about it. Hey, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? So good time with that, and just some of our nightly routines and kind of. As a family, we got to kind of especially my wife and I kind of got to figure out like our niches, like what does she like to do? Because as you know, like I'm not home much, you're not home much whenever you're playing, so the wife just has to basically, to the most part, act like a single parent, to a degree. And so just kind of figure out our niches and what we enjoy doing and what we're good at. Like I like to do the dishes every night. Like I hate going to sleep with stuff in the sink, and so, just kind of getting to know each other and know what our strengths are.
My girl, she doesn't want anything on the counter. Yeah, and she's gonna kill me for saying this because I was in Nebraska. I was in Nebraska with her last time I did a podcast, and I said on there that and it was a joke. I was joking. I was like, the only reason, yes, I'm here for my girlfriend, but the only reason I'm here is because she lives on a golf course, so I play golf every day.
Yeah, she ain't like that, huh?
Yeah, hard time, bro.
Yeah, she ain't like that. Guaranteed.
But yeah, that's so true. Like, in the sense of now you have to see where obviously you fit in with your family, but the routine of the day to day at that time was different because now you're like, it's March and you're home or whatever time of the year it was. But on the podcast, Trey, usually we got a basketball guy on and we go through kind of like their life story as an athlete, their kind of journey. And I love, since you're being my first football guest, where did it start for you? Where did your love for sport even begin?
Yeah, I mean, I think my family has always told me, I grew up, well, first of all, I grew up in a single family home, with two younger brothers, so three boys in the house. And my family, my uncles and my aunts and grandparents would always tell me like I loved watching football from a really young age, from like 2 years old. Like I would sit in front of the TV and watch ball. And they would even say like when a penalty happens and the flag's thrown, like I would tell them what happened before the referee even comes on the screen and was like, holding or offsides on the offense or, whatever. Yeah. And they were always like, man, that's crazy. And I always had a saying, I think I was like 5. I would go out in the backyard and I would throw the ball up and I would catch it and I would fall down. And I would say, throw the ball, catch the ball, fall down. And all I want to do is play catch and be outside and play with like the big kids. And so I don't know. I was just always really active. I had my grandfather played 6 years in the league. He was a first round pick, ran in the 72 Olympics, so I have sports in my blood to a degree. And then we moved when I was really young, like 4 or 5, to Venice, down at south of Sarasota, down over here on this coast, like an hour south of Tampa, and just kind of got involved with Pop Warner football and started really enjoying that. And as you can imagine, I'm sure you hear about it, but football in Florida is a little different than everywhere else. And it's extremely competitive at a really young age. And so, and like Pop Warner is weird, man. The way we do it here, it's all based on weight. And so you could be so say like, for example, like the middle division is like 105 pounds. Well, you could be like in 8th grade, or you could be in like 5th grade at 105 pounds. And you're playing with like kids, from a huge age discrepancy or, maturity standpoint. And so like, I was always a heavier kid. And so I always had to play up. I remember like my last year of Pop Warner football, I'm in 7th grade playing with sophomores in high school, like huge maturity difference, from that 7th grade in high school. And so but I've always, been heavier. So I always had to play up and played a bunch of different positions, but I've always enjoyed ball, always loved watching it. And I like the game.
When did like your recruiting process start picking up? And you were you're a dual threat quarterback,
yeah,
in high school at Venice High School, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So 7th grade was my last year at Pop Warner. Normally kids play until 8th grade, but that was too heavy. So we had a big fight with the Pop Warner league and the coaches about me losing weight as an 8th grader to play Pop Warner football. And I was like, nah, man, like I'm not doing that. Like that's stupid. Like I would literally have to lose like 15 pounds to be able to play the highest level of Pop Warner football. And I mean, at the time, as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, you don't really have that much, weight to lose. So my mom and I were like, no, we're not going to do that. So I started playing basketball my 8th grade year. And then fast forward to freshman year, so at my high school, we have an off-season workout program that we usually do. Got involved in the off-season workout. I realized that like, man, I can play at the high school level. And so as a freshman, I started on varsity at safety. And so from day one, I was on the varsity team as a freshman. And then we were really bad, like 1-9 or 2-8, something like that, like horrible. By the end of the year, my coach was like, hey, you're a pretty good athlete. Let's see if you can play quarterback. And so the last game of my freshman year, I started at quarterback, and then it just kind of took off from there. They started sending me to camps all around the country. Well, not all around the state, I would say, USF, University of Florida, Florida State. Every summer I'd go to those camps to learn how to throw. And then at the end of my sophomore year, I committed to Florida. And so it was kind of like my thought process was like, at the time I was starting to excel at basketball. I really enjoyed that. But then also I was getting better as a quarterback. And so my thought process was, because I've always been a Gator fan my whole life, I was like, whatever sport offers me first, that's what I'm going to end up playing. And so I had just so I went to Florida. They have a Friday Night Lights football camp my sophomore year. Dan Mullen was recruiting me at the time. And the next day I go to Florida State, and Jimbo Fisher was the head coach at the time. And Jimbo offered me a scholarship my sophomore year, and Florida hadn't offered me yet. And so I go to Florida State. Florida State offers me. Within like 3 weeks, Urban calls and was like, hey, we're going to offer you a scholarship. And the thing about Urban is like, hey, you got 24 hours to say yes. And if you don't say yes in 24 hours, then your scholarship's gone and we're going to offer somebody else. And so as soon as they offered, I was going to go regardless. But yeah, that's kind of when I committed there.
That's awesome, man. So it was like a dream similar to me. I grew up a Gator. And as soon as I got that call, because Florida State was recruiting me. Coach Hamilton, Leonard Hamilton, he was a little hands off of the recruiting process. Coach Andy Enfield, he's over at South Carolina now. He was the one really trying to get me to go there, and my sister was already there too. But like as soon as Florida was like, nah, bro, like I was like, I'm there since yesterday. What do you mean? Like I've been here, like I'm already here. I'm already enrolled.
Mentally, I've already been there. But that's funny, man.
So what was it like? Like was Coach Mullen, was he the one that was primarily recruiting you before Herb did? Or made that call?
He was kind of he was basically like my contact at the university. So he would reach out, we'd have conversations. The funny thing is they would always tell me, I guess for a year and a half or so, that like they would never offer a quarterback that's not a senior. So that was like in my head, like, okay, well, I'll have to wait till my senior year until I commit. And then, like I said, long story short, I go to Florida State, they offer me, and then I come back and they're like, hey, we're going to offer you. So yeah, Mullen was like the lead recruiter. And then Mullen left going into my junior year to be the head coach at Mississippi State. And then Steve Adazio and Urban kind of, spearheaded it. But, like one thing that people don't, and I don't know I'm pretty sure you guys do this in basketball, but like, how cool is it to have the college coaches come to campus while you're in high school? Pull you out of class and like football, bro. I mean, my high school would have like 65 colleges over a month period come by. And like, what people don't know is that like you're in school and then next thing you know, your teacher gets a call on her phone and then your teacher hangs up and says, Trey, go to the office or go to your coach's office. And you walk in there and there literally be like a whole coaching staff from a school trying to recruit you, or like, 3 or 4 times a day that would happen. And so it like disrupts you as a student, but then also like you get to go meet these coaches, head coaches and assistant coaches all over the country. And it's a pretty cool thing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Coach Donovan, he came in, walked in like 3 times when I was in chorus.
Really?
I was in my chorus class at school, bro.
That's hilarious,
bro. It was so embarrassing because my teacher, she had me like sing while he was there too, bro.
What did you have to sing?
Because my teacher, she didn't play. She was like, like everybody at some point in that class, whether it was to find their like tone or like where they should be like soprano, alto, tenor.
No way. What would you be singing though? Like what songs or like pitch stuff?
We sang a bunch of like old school hymnal worship songs, like ensemble type things. And bro, it's just, he did not let me live that down. Let's just say
no question. He had to clown you, bro. You should have had him come up there and sing with you, bro. That'd been funny, man.
Coach Donovan, he's all about YouTube. That's his thing.
Oh, really?
So it's got to be pretty cool seeing Coach Mullen over at Florida now. That going full circle, coming back and being the head coach, and tough loss they just had against Kentucky. That had to be wild, though, how loud it was there. 8 false starts.
Had to be nuts, dude. They'll get it figured out. He I think, from a recruiting standpoint, he does a good job. I think from a development standpoint, he's second to none from a quarterback development standpoint. So, we'll see. Hopefully they can, get a couple wins string together here, and big one against Georgia. You know how it is for football. All we care about is beating Georgia. Yeah, I'll be there. Florida, Georgia. Yeah. This will be my first time since I played. So I'm excited for it.
Heck yeah. You let me know, bro. I will. I'm definitely going to be there. Yeah. You can
Cool.
be my girlfriend too. And I'd love to meet your kids. Would love to.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be great, dude. That'd be great.
So then you go into your freshman year, what was that transition like? It's like, dang, like now you're finally here. Like all the stars don't matter. It don't matter what you're like, you got to work now. Like what was that transition like for you coming into Florida?
Well, bro, like at Florida, you're going to get the best of the best, from a recruitment standpoint. So like we have every year, Florida football has 20 something kids coming in on scholarship, new kids, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star dudes. And as you would know, like a lot of the 5-star, 4-star guys, kind of have some type of walk to them, like, oh, they deserve this, they deserve that. And so I was a 3-star dude coming in, and I just knew, I had to do whatever I could to get on the field. It was weird for me, and different than I'm sure how it is now, but there was only 2 scholarship quarterbacks on two quarterbacks on scholarship, me and John Brantley.
Yep,
and so I graduated high school early. So I graduated in December to go to Florida in January to play out, be able to play in spring football. And they needed me to do that because I was the only other guy on scholarship that they had on the roster. And so graduated high school early, boom, show up to Florida January, do like the winter workouts, which suck. I mean, jumping into that stuff coming from high school, there's nothing in the world you could do to prepare yourself for that, just the yelling and the waking up early and the screaming. And up in Gainesville, it's cold compared to down here, where I'm from. And just sucked, man. Like, you're so sore and you're a freshman and there's not much you can really say, And so we go into our first spring practice, and we happened to have spring break right before we started spring football. And something happened to Brantley where he got sick. And so like the first 2 or 3 spring practices, I was the only quarterback on the roster. And so I was going with the 1s, 2s, and 3s as a freshman, like scared out of my mind, bro. Like, didn't know what the heck to do, didn't know what to say, like didn't know anything, for the most part. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I walk into the huddle with the 1s for the first time. And, you got Mike Pouncey playing center, who's, probably a Hall of Famer. He played 10 years in the league. You got Marcus Gilbert at tackle. I mean, you got all these, big, huge 6'7", 6'8" dudes on the offensive line. And I walk into the huddle and I say the play, and, like, I never had like a masculine voice. Like, I'm not like I'm not like a radio type of voice. Like, I have a different type of voice. And I remember, never forget, call the play, and Pouncey grabs my face mask and he says, "Speak up, I can't hear you." Like, and obviously didn't just say that, said a lot of other choice words in between there. But I was like, yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Let me come back in here. And so, but from that day forward, man, like I was all in, and it was just a crazy, but really cool experience, kind of what I got to go through.
What was the play calling like, especially coming in, like, dang, going with the 1s and 2s?
Bro, it was nuts, dude. I mean, my voice is gone after the first practice. My arm is about to fall off, but you have no other option. You got to wake up the next morning and, go to school and do it again. And so the play calling wasn't too difficult. I was fortunate in high school to have great coaches, and I had all my high school coaches played in college. So they kind of knew what to expect, and, did the best they could. Like I said, you can never prepare for actual college ball, but just the speed of the game is so much faster. You got the best kids, the 1% of the 1%. You're practicing with and practicing against. So just a completely different experience, for me.
Your freshman year was 2010-11 season, or 10-11.
10-11,
same as me. We're the same year. 10-11. Yeah, you guys went 8-5.
Yeah, and went to the Tax Slayer Bowl against Ohio State, I believe. No, we went to the Gator Bowl against Penn State. And we not the Gator Bowl, the Outback Bowl here in Tampa. Yeah. And we played Penn State. That was Joe Paterno's last game as a head coach for Penn State. And I guess Urban's last game as a head coach for Florida as well.
Yeah, that's true. Did y'all win?
Yeah, we won that one, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, y'all. I remember seeing, I can't remember who, maybe it was David Young at the time, and he showed me all the stuff, like the swag bags y'all would get from
it was cool.
From the bowl games.
It was cool. They did like a point system. So like you go to these bowl games, every bowl game is different, but they do like a point system where like you have 1,000 points and there's 50, 100 items you're able to choose from. Each item, depending on how valuable it is, it has more points. So you go in there and you pick with your 1,000 points, whatever you want. And I remember, bro, I got the sweetest recliner chair. It was like 180 points, dude. And we brought that thing everywhere we went, dude. It was awesome. Sweetest recliner chair, fold back, lean back, legs up, dude. It was cool as heck. I even brought it with me to Philly.
Was it one of those like gravity? Was it one of those like anti-gravity ones?
Man, they ain't have those back in the day, bro. It was one of those big brown cushiony ones, dude, where you play, Xbox or watch sports. Like what's
Lazy
your
Boys?
Grandpa? Yeah, Lazy Boy. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, you had to be the only one to get a Lazy Boy out of the whole.
Probably my wife was so pissed.
And I support that decision. I am about comforts.
Yeah. All day.
Over my shoulder here, like my girl, everyone makes fun of it whenever I have people come over. I have a 7-foot beanbag chair.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Didn't know they made those.
Yeah, it costs like 4 times more to actually fill it up than the actual like shelling, as you can imagine. It's probably like 80 pounds of filling inside of there.
Wow.
But let me tell you, it is, you go
Comfortable.
into that thing, you ain't getting up until you wake up.
That's all that matters, bro. That's all that matters.
So after your freshman year, obviously go through that learning curve. Was it like a surprise to you? Did you have any idea that Urban was gonna head out after that year?
Yeah, I mean, Urban and I had a great relationship, and so I kind of understood. I kind of knew. I guess right around the time that he was going to announce what was going on. Obviously shocked. Didn't really know what to expect. As you know, like you go to school and it's hard not to make it about the coach for what school you commit to. And people always, if you have good guidance, like don't ever make it your university or your school choice on the head coach or your position coach or the strength coach, because that's probably going to change in your 4 years there. But I mean, you know how it is, man. Like it's tough. I loved and I wanted to play, for Urban, and then boom, after my freshman year, he's gone, and you're like, well, what the heck? Like this dude coming in didn't recruit me. This dude that coming in didn't want me. And so we ended up, Muschamp ended up coming in and becoming the head coach, and so we were definitely all shocked because we had at that time the best recruiting class in the history of recruiting classes. Like, I guess it was kind of fresh. Maybe like the 5 years prior, they started ranking guys, star wise and all that type of stuff. But we had like a monster class with a bunch of 5-star dudes. So, I mean, everybody was kind of shocked and, disappointed that Urban left. For sure. It was crazy.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that. I knew you guys had a pretty awesome recruiting class, but it just had to be so weird, especially for you. And, it's not about you and not in a selfish way. It's about the team success. Yeah. It equates to individual success, but obviously, Urban wanted you there, and it was apparent within the offense and to fans that Trey Burton was going to be like you were a focal point of the offense at that time. Even though you were a freshman, there were ways that it was intentional. One of my assistant coach, or not the assistant coaches at Florida. And we would always say this. We were like, put the ball in Trey's hands. Something good happens every time you put the ball in Trey's hands. And it just seemed like, once Urban left, obviously a new coach, every coach has their own philosophy, terminology, strategy. It just seems like, was it difficult to adjust to where it seemed like the offense and things have changed, or where, it wasn't, you weren't getting as much as, I don't say growth, or just as much involvement as that you could contribute to help the team win?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say like that was my sophomore year was the worst year I've ever had playing ball. Like I actually didn't want to play football anymore. It was so bad, from that standpoint. Like you said, having so much success your freshman year, and like I think looking back on it, my biggest problem was like football was everything for me. If I played well, you want to be around me because I'm gonna have a good time. If I didn't play well, don't even speak to me. Don't look at me like I'm pissed off. I'm going to go in my room and sulk, for days. And especially if I play bad or I made a mistake, to help to make the team lose and that type of stuff. And so like, it sucked from a worldly perspective, but like from like a spiritual standpoint, like 12 was the best year for me ever, because football was the joy of football was taken away from me. And I didn't enjoy it anywhere close to as much as I thought I would. So like, really quick story, and I want to sit here and tell stories all day long. But so my sophomore year, Muschamp comes in. He was supposed to be the next head coach at Texas behind Mac Brown, right? He was the coach in waiting. They were trying to force Mac Brown out. Muschamp was going to jump in. Boom, didn't happen. Muschamp comes to Florida. So Muschamp is probably the best defensive coach in college football. Like this, it's not really debatable. He's like, he's unbelievable. Great defensive mind. He brought in Charlie Weiss with him. Who won? He was at Notre Dame, with Patric, that type of stuff. And so, kind of looking at the way things were, Charlie Weiss doesn't run a spread offense like Urban does. So you have all these kids that are fast, that are smaller but are fast as heck, that run really, really well, to transitioning your offense to like a I formation power scheme. It just is different, bro. Play action, like all that stuff. So you have all these kids that don't fit the scheme that they're trying to run, right? So long story short, I go to Muschamp and say, hey, yo, this guy's trying to have me play fullback. I'm not a fullback. I'm not doing that. Can I play safety on defense? And yeah, cool. No big deal. So boom, I go over and I start playing safety. I think I practiced 2 times with the defense and Muschamp was the safety coach at that time. So I'm me knowing how good of a coach he is and how well respected he is, like, man, like I want to play for this dude. Like he's legit. So boom, go to safety, 2 practices at safety. After the second practice is over, Charlie Weiss calls me into his office. And I go into his office. He has, his Super Bowl ring sitting there. Like he like doctored everything up to like, make it look like he knows what he's talking about. And he basically sits me down. He's like, hey, long story short, like, I need you to play offense. This is what I envision. This is what, is going to happen. And so I'm thinking like this dude was a big time, coach at Notre Dame. They were really successful. He won a Super Bowl. Like he knows what he's talking about. Didn't like the guy, but I was like, all right, cool. He knows what he's talking about. Talked to Champ. Champ was like, yeah, I think they need you over there better. You're probably not going to start or play much right now, so you got to learn the basics and the fundamentals and techniques. All right, cool. I ended up going to play over there for Charlie, and bro, like there's not many people in this world that I would say like I don't like, but I cannot stand him. Like the way he coached, the way he taught, how disrespectful he was to not just the players, like, like you got to coach hard, and like some stuff is said, it probably shouldn't be said, but it's said to players. But when you cross that line and start speaking to other adults like that, like it makes you not respect, that guy for the way he was talking. And so, and I don't think I've ever like publicly said that, but like I could not stand Charlie Weiss, and it made me the role he wanted me to play. And then on top of like having to deal with him all the time, it just took everything out of me for ball, to the point that I went to Kevin Sullivan and was like, yo, can I try out for baseball? And they let me try out for baseball.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, bro. Wow. And so I tried out for baseball, and my thought process was like, I'm going to either try to play baseball or I'm going to go to Ohio State with Urban if Charlie Weiss is here after my sophomore year. And then long story short, Charlie Weiss got fired. I was like, all right, cool. I'll stay here. Baseball didn't work out. I probably sucked, but it was fun. It was cool to go over there and hit the ball in the cage and go on the field and field some balls and, do that type of stuff. But I tried to be like a, multi-sport guy, but that's how much I hated football. Like I hated it that much. And I had such a disgust for it and the coaching staff at the time that I tried to do everything I possibly could to get out of it.
Well, thank you for sharing all that, bro. But, I know you. And I was with you around those times, and we were going through Athletes in Action together at that time. And we were working with Kevin Sides, and he was instrumental because I similarly, I saw my sport, my basketball was an idol. Like all my value in myself was in my performance. And it seemed as though, God took that kind of the joy away to be like, all right, Trey, like, who are you? Who do you like? You're not the star this year, or if I never let you be a star again, do you still accept that I say that you are worth what accomplished everything in football? Do you still? I see you as higher than whatever that could be. Like, and that's a tough place to be, because it's like as athletes, we're so used to having to earn it and put the work in for it, but God's like, nah, like here, you already have it. Like you already have identity. What was it like for you? Did that year help you to come to like really get grounded in your faith and who you are as a man?
Yeah, I would say that was probably one of the biggest years from a faith standpoint, just because, like you said, football, I learned that football wasn't idle. I learned that even though, that you're more than a football player, it takes, a year like that for me to realize like, no, like legit, like you're not don't just say it, live it and believe it, and like you said, like you work for everything you get in sports. It's like the cause and effect type of thing. Like, oh, I'm going to work X amount hard so that I can reap a championship or reap playing time. But like, for me, until I experienced and took myself back and like looked at it like that, like that's how I thought faith was, like, oh, if I'm good for this many amount of days, then I can be bad for one day, or if I don't drink and I don't, do drugs, and I can sleep with as many women as I want. You know what I mean? Like, that's legit.
Right,
Like what I thought, I was thinking. I was playing these, if I do this, I can do that. If I don't do this, I can do that. So, but that's the same thing with sports, like if you train really, really hard and you put all the work in, there's a really good chance you're going to have a good season, or you're at least going to be prepared. Obviously injuries and things like that can happen and whatever. And they do happen, but so it was I learned so many things, from that year. I would be sitting here for hours talking about it, but it was just really fruitful, and it sucked. It was horrible, absolutely horrible at the time, but looking back on it, it was one of the best years, for me from a sports standpoint.
And then, what's funny, not funny, what's ironic is, like, you would think, all right, God, I got it. I figured it out. I understand now. Let me go into my junior year. And you guys had a tough one after having, your 11-2 year, where you guys went and played Louisville in the
Sugar Bowl.
I remember watching that game. Teddy Bridgewater and Charlie Strong, another Gator guy came.
Boy, Teddy beat us up that game, bro. He is, and the crazy thing is that was my junior year, and the first maybe the first series of the game, Teddy got hit so hard by John Bostic that his helmet. I mean, I don't remember how many yards it flew, but it at least flew 5 to 8 yards, bro. Freaking this, but helmet come off, and I'm thinking, oh, this guy's dead. Like, he's not playing. He's done. Like, for done. He's, for sure, first round draft pick guy. One of the best quarterbacks of the year that year. He's done. We're good. We got this. And then the dude puts his helmet back on and comes back out for the next series and just dices us, torches us, bro. Bad.
Bostic. That dude was so huge.
Yeah, boy, he was genetic. He was a genetic
like,
freak.
Linebackers ain't got no neck. Like, he just.
Yeah. Well, boy, you look just like Bostic. You just neck's a little bigger. You're a little longer than Bostic.
If I was shorter, I would look exactly like him for sure.
Goodness. I mean, I don't know if you have any like beach pictures on your Instagram or whatever, but bro, you're as genetically gifted as they come, bro.
I stray away from the thirst traps. I stray away. I don't. But after you ended up, because we share this, going undrafted. And it's funny. I remember, I think after I went undrafted, because you went undrafted before I did, and you were like, bro, trust the process. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna work out. But that takes faith again to trust that process. That you didn't have as great a numbers as probably you would have liked to have going into the draft. And then you decided that you're going to enter in as a tight end. And then you go through the pre-draft process and you run the fastest 40. You were the lightest tight end at the time. And the shortest, tied for the shortest with AC. AC Leonard, that was a Gator at one point. What was your mindset going into the draft and then that process with the Eagles, getting that offer with the Eagles? Like, what was the whole mindset then for you, bro?
Well, bro, like I think my hardest thing really at every level of playing ball was like, man, can I do this? Like, is this legit? Something that am I good enough to do this? I remember my first time ever going to the Swamp. Like I was saying, after my freshman year was over, they wanted me to play quarterback. They sent me to a camp in the Swamp. I remember my first time walking in the Swamp and just seeing how like grand it was and how big. And I remember, I'll never forget, I called my mom after we're done and I'm like, I'm almost in tears. Like, I can't do this. Like, wow. This is too big for me. Like, these guys, it's not going to happen. Like, seeing some of the guys walking, at the camps that have some of the current players, walking around, and I'm like looking at Brandon Spikes and Carlos Dunlap. And I'm like, yo, like, I'm not that. Like, I'm not as big as those. Like, I can't do it, And so, but I mean, long story short, I show up my freshman year and I realized after the first day, like, I can do this. I'm not the best, by any means, but like I can. And same with the NFL, like going into the draft process, like I don't know if I'm gonna get drafted, honestly. And my first day in Philadelphia, like, bro, is this? Looking at like Nick Foles is like 6'6", I'm like, damn, this is our quarterback. Like, bro, this guy is huge. Like, what is going on? But like, first practice, you don't get many reps, but the reps you do get, like, oh, I can do this. This is what something that is, it's not far fetched, but no, like every day, it was, for me, it was more about doing like the little things and playing a new position. Tight end, didn't really know how I was going to fit in and, how all that was going to work. But I figured out, and the best thing that happened to me was my first day on at the facility in Philadelphia. I'm talking to the special teams coordinator. We're in his office, small little office. He has, a big projector screen and has a whiteboard with everybody on the team in their depth chart position, so offense has all the guys in their depth chart position. I'm the sixth tight end. We only carried 6 tight ends that year and during training camp. So I'm the last guy in the tight end depth chart. And we're talking, and he goes, let me ask you something. He grabs his laser pointer and he goes to the depth chart, goes to tight end, and he points at my name and does a little circle. And he says, hey, do you think you're going to play offense this year? And me as a rookie, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would hope so. And he says, I'll bet you my whole salary you don't play one snap on offense. If you want to make this team or any team in the NFL, you have to be the best special teams player on the team. And so, like, I'm extremely, like, some people are like, damn, that's blunt, or like, holy crap, like he said that to you. But like, bro, I owe Dave Phipp for the rest of my life because he was honest with me and told me the truth. And like, well, damn, instead of going in here and trying to be the best tight end on the team, like, yo, I'm not going to play offense. So I'm going to play special teams. So I focused, way more on special teams that year. Obviously had to do well, when I had my chances on offense, but I mean, right. What, 10 plays of practice out of 150 plays, like I'm not getting much of an opportunity, but when special teams happen, you better believe like that was like my Super Bowl, every single day in practice. And so I learned, how to be good at special teams. And that's kind of how I started my first 3 years in the league.
I didn't know you could tackle, bro.
Shoot, me either.
Yeah, I saw you ended up making. That's a great story because I saw that you were on the all rookie team for special teams that year.
Just got it how I could,
And obviously, this component, for the most of your life, not that you did it alone, but for the most part of your life, it kind of was on you. And then now in the NFL, when you can make money, you got a family. And that adds a whole nother dynamic to like your why of like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this team for my family. So, and not that you would worry that you couldn't ever provide, but just like through what you knew and through what, like, it just gave football even more purpose, more meaning, more like, I got to get it. I'm gonna be on my P's and Q's. And that had to be like kind of exciting, There had to be like a cool dynamic of like, every time you strapped up for practice, like every day in the weight room, you're like, I'm not only doing this for me, I'm doing this for my family. Like that had to be kind of cool.
But yeah. Well, you have that healthy, like, this is a dream, like this is what I've always wanted to do my whole entire life. And then, like you said, like add the family aspect into it. You just never know what to expect, man. Like pro ball, I'm sure in every sport is so wild and crazy that if like people really knew some of the things that happen, behind the scenes and like how this stuff is done, like it's just, I don't even know what word to call it, bro, but it's just wild and crazy, some of the things you see. And so like, I don't know, man, like you said, you try to make it regardless of, everything, that this is your dream. But then when you have a family, it just adds extra emphasis onto it.
What was it like that first time you did check in on offense, and get caught a pass?
Bro, so my first time on offense was actually at running back. And so we're mid-season into the year, my rookie year. I didn't play one snap on offense as a tight end. And I remember it was a Sunday night game, and we only had 2 healthy running backs. One of them was LaShawn McCoy, who he just retired, last week or 2 weeks ago. And then the other guy was more of a special teams dude, but he ran really hard. And we're playing the Giants, and we're beating the Giants by 25, 30 points going into the fourth quarter. And so they're like, yo, we're not going to play LaShawn anymore. And this dude can't carry the load for the whole entire fourth quarter. So like, hop in there and play running back. I'm like, what? Like, all right, cool, whatever, no big deal. And so that was kind of like, I think I had 5 carries, four
Had
carries.
you been taking reps in practice at running back?
I had maybe walk through reps. It was more of like a, hey, this might be the scenario, like let me give you one or two walk through handoffs. And so yes, so I did that mid season, and then I think that the next 2 or 3 weeks I continued to take reps, actual practice reps at running back. I never got in the game, I don't think so. But yeah, that was my first offensive experience for sure.
Who were some of the guys in the locker room when you're with the Eagles guys that, because, from the outside looking in and from what was reported, everyone just talked about how tight knit, you guys were, especially in that faith was a huge part of that group. I'm not sure if that was your first 2 years or if that was more the Super Bowl year, but I just remember hearing that, and I was just like, man, that's so awesome. I'm really, really happy to hear that Trey is a part of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the story I tell the most and to everybody from a faith standpoint in Philadelphia was my rookie year, man. I'm in the building for the first time, and I'm in the locker room, and I remember Nick Foles was a quarterback at the time. I think he just came off a Pro Bowl season, and we're in the off season, and I'm in the locker room, and he walks up to me and says, "Hey, Bible study at 9:00 in the morning." And I had never said a word to him. Never. I mean, I've seen him on TV, but never met him. And that was like the first thing he said to me. And I'm like, all right, sweet, I can do that. So long story short, the next day I go to Bible study, and I walk in there, and there's players and coaches. And I distinctly remember that, because normally every study I've done has just been players, and then the coaches had their own thing, so it was never mixed like that. And so I walk in there, players and coaches, I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. This is different. This is cool. And I remember one of the coaches said, like, all right, I'm going to open us up in prayer. And so boom, he prays, we say amen. And Foles is like, okay, we're going to go through the book of Matthew. And it was like a 30-minute study on just the first book. So we read the chapter, and Foles gave like a commentary on what he has been reading, because he was doing seminary at the time. And I'll never forget. I remember that. I remember like at the end of that Bible study, we prayed and everybody left, and I sat there in the chair, and I said to myself, the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles is leading Bible study. What am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
The most important person, I mean, really in the city of Philadelphia, like the most recognizable person, the most famous person, guy just came off a Pro Bowl, is the leader of the football team and leader of the city, is taking time in the morning to lead players and coaches in the Bible study. Literally, what am I doing with my life? Like, I need to step my game up and get in this word and like be 10 times more dialed in. And it was so convicting. It was like a spear, like right through my heart. Like I thought I was doing a lot, but like really in reality, like I ain't really doing nothing. And so from that day forward, it was like a slow, I don't know, like a slow but fast build up to like everybody that they were drafting, or not everybody, a lot of guys who are drafting or bringing in as free agents were like big time believers. And like everybody was kind of in the same period or same spot in life, in a sense of like, listen, we all want to grow in our walk. And like, it was just something that organically just happened. Like not one person like took the lead or was like, rounding guys up, but it was more of like, yo, letting everybody know, we break the team down at the end of practice and be like, yo, Bible study in 15 minutes, and dudes would show up and dudes wouldn't show up. And like, but it was cool. Like it was just like an open environment, cool, like growth, thing. And obviously we did a lot more than just, 1 or 2 Bible studies here and there, but just something that, like I said, grew organically, and it just caught fire in the locker room and between, the select, believers, the guys that were really trying to, make that next step in their faith.
Isn't it just crazy how, if things go differently in your college career, if you end up getting drafted, like, you're not in that locker room. And we know every locker room is different. It's full of all types of characters, people from different types of backgrounds, but just that you got placed in that locker room for that's just like, praise God, man. It's incredible. And then you go on, and it's not, and again, I don't want anyone listening to think it's just cause and effect. It's not, just because you have a relationship with God, you're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's actually the opposite, probably, for the most part.
I mean, it's almost like, scripture says, we should expect more trials to come our way as we strive to live that path. But, going into your Super Bowl year, new coach, like you've experienced that before. You experienced that in the past in college, that you got a new head coach. Did he tell you straight up that you were going to have more of a role, or like how did that go, like going into that year?
So that was my fourth year in Philly. And so my second year, I didn't just play special teams. So backing up, like I had a phenomenal tight end room, like probably the best tight end room. I mean, in the history, in my opinion, I had Brent Selleck, who's like a legend, like the best tight end to ever play in Philadelphia. And then we have, Zach Ertz, who now is probably the best tight end to ever play in Philadelphia. But like great football players, but way better dudes than they are a football player, like phenomenal guys, like guys that would like put you under their wing. And another dude named James Casey. So I was just surrounded by phenomenal people. I couldn't ask for a better room, a great coach, guys that we just got along really, really well. Oh geez, I forgot where I was going to go with that. What was your question? What did you ask me?
About like just
my role.
Your role to the fourth year. Yeah.
So that being said, those guys like brought me under my wing and like would literally spend 15, 20 minutes after practice, after they had been taking all the reps on offense, and like spend time with me to coach me up and teach me. That was my freshman year. Second year, I was told that I was going to play a little bit more. So I probably played, 10% of the offensive snaps as a tight end, more in like the pass catching, 3 tight end sets, make the defense go bigger bodies, and we would just spread it out and throw the ball. Third year was Doug's first year as the head coach, Doug Peterson. And he came in from Kansas City and kind of like a gunslinger mentality. So we were throwing the ball a lot more, which meant I played more. So I probably played, 25% of the snaps. Well, going into my fourth year, we still had the same tight end room, which is like unheard of. Like this same three guys playing. Like you never hear about that. Every year it's so much change and based on the salary cap and age and all this type of crazy stuff. But boom, we still had the same 3 guys from day one, basically playing tight end, and we all knew each other so well. And that time they had brought Carson Wentz in the year before, and so we all had great rapport with him. But they wanted to do a lot more like matchup type of thing. So when we put our 3 tight ends, quote unquote bigger body guys, we're supposed to be running the ball. Well, if the defense, put smaller guys in there, and then we would run the ball. If they put bigger guys in there, we'd spread them out and throw the ball and find the matchup here and there. So I was probably playing like 30, sometimes 40%, and I kind of like took over for when if Ertz ever got hurt. I would play a lot more. Like I would literally be like the pass catching tight end when Ertz was hurt. So I just kind of filled in more and more and learned how to, become a tight end, how to run routes, and kind of transition myself out of just being a special teams player. Because once you get that tag put on you, I'm sure it's the same as like basketball. Like once they know you can't shoot, like you get tagged like a non-shooter, and they're not even going to really contest your shot anymore. They're going to actually force you or beg you.
They want you like, take that, go. Yeah.
So that's the same thing like in the NFL. And then also like from a pay standpoint, like guys that can't shoot don't get paid as much as guys that can shoot and play defense. If you're just a defense player, you're not going to get paid as much as a multi athlete or sport player. And so like in football, if you just play special teams, you're already taking a ton of money off the top, he can't play offense. So boom, he's only going to be able to play. He fits in this category. Right. And so I was fortunate to have great dudes around me that told me like, yo, obviously get on a team and be able to play at a high level, but like, don't just get stuck as a special teams player, like learn how to play, offense. And so over my 3 or 4 years there, that's what I was doing on the side during practice, running scout team stuff, like learning how to do, tight end stuff and everything. But yeah, my role just continued to grow as Doug got there. And then in the playoffs and that type of stuff.
Dang. That's so like that definitely helps you, after you guys won, you went on to sign with the Bears. Was there ever, your Super Bowl year was Carson Wentz was playing great. Obviously he was having a fantastic year. He was, I think number 1 in the voting as far as being MVP going into.
Yeah, he would have won for sure. No question, won MVP.
Yeah, he would have won. He was unbelievable. And then, because of the tight-knit groups you had, there probably was no doubt, the media is always going to try to find a way to create some story. Oh, Nick's not going to be able to get it done, or whatever it may be, man. And it just seemed like you guys just like, it's next man up, just kept going. And I'm sure you've answered a million times about your Philly special play, but like, was that something like, did you have any idea that like, was that just like were you surprised when it was called?
Yeah, I was in the Super
Okay.
Bowl because we put it in. So we had a first round bye for the playoffs. We put it in while we were practicing during the bye week. And then I was thinking or expecting it to be called like against Atlanta, which would be the second round, or against Minnesota, which would be the third round. So every time we got, 5-yard line or inside the 5-yard line, I'm like standing there waiting for him to call the personnel that we would run that play out of. And so and he never did. And like I felt like he was kind of like saving it. And then once we got to the Super Bowl, like it's almost as if like you just lose your mind. Like you don't even like know what's even happening. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like paying attention in the sense of like, oh, it's inside the 5-yard line, so let me get ready for this play. Like I was more of like, man, I hope we win this game, or what can I do, to help win and stuff. And so it was a weird scenario. Like we had called a timeout, but the play clock was running while we were on the sideline, and then they called the personnel in there, so we didn't have much time. We ran in there, and he called the play really fast, and boom, you broke the huddle. And then you're running the play, and I never really had like a chance to sit there and be like, well, we might call it here. Like it was fourth down, bro. Like I thought we were gonna kick a field goal, and I never even realized that was even an option. And then boom, they call the personnel, and I'm like, oh damn! I run in there, and I'm like, what's the play? And then they calls it, and I'm like, oh goodness! But I didn't have time because the play clock was running down. But yeah, so I think obviously that was a lot better not knowing that it was going to happen than sitting there eagerly waiting for him to call it.
Didn't the Patriots try to run it before you guys did, and Tom dropped it?
Yeah, they ran a version of it, and it went right. But the crazy thing is, the year before they ran the same exact play against us in Foxborough when we played him, and he caught it, and he ran for like 30 or 40 yards.
That was just the first. Yeah, it was just for a first down. He's so slow. He runs full slow.
Yeah, no question.
So, bro, I mean, I don't. We know the rest of your journey. After you went on to win a Super Bowl, you went on to the Bears. For a few years. Don't want to hold your time. This isn't, because this podcast isn't only about your sports career. It's about you as a man. What you've learned through your journey, things that you have to leave the people that are listening with to really know like who you are and where you're going, and your ambition, and just the struggles and the victories through your journey. But I guess I'll leave you with two more questions. I'll leave you with two questions. First one is, if you could go back to Trey Burton, if you could like go back to talk to Trey Burton at age 18, stepping foot on campus at University of Florida, what's the first thing? What would you tell him? What's one thing that you would tell him?
Oh man. Well, what's the second question? Because it might be the same answer. So what's the second question? Oh man.
I got to come up with a second question.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think like one thing that's been consistent for me, and like and it's one of the hardest things to do in a sport, in a locker room, in a sport town, in a big school, even in the league, man, like something that's really a lot of people struggle with is like comparison. And like I can't let comparison eat me from the inside. Like they will literally like destroy you from an athlete standpoint, mentally and physically. And so like I think that's probably one of the biggest things that people struggle with is like comparing my situation to your situation or someone else's situation on the team. And you don't know what that person went through. And you don't know what that person's or what they're going through, or the route that it's so easy. I'm thinking of like in high school, in the rankings, and it's such a big thing nowadays. And it was big, back then, but it's even bigger now. But like, I remember I would go to these camps, and I'm a 3-star guy, and there's a 5-star dude right next to me, and he's not very good, and I'm like, man, this kid's a 5-star. Like this kid's the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in my class, and like that would just kill me, like. And then I would think to myself, like, oh man, I got to go to all these camps so I can get these stars. And then like looking back at it, like, bro, none of that even matters, like it's so irrelevant and so small. And shoot, in the NFL, like I have 30 catches, in one season, and there's another guy that had 30 catches, but that guy is making $3 or $4 million more than me, and I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, like I had a better year, or maybe he had less catches. I'm like, yo, I had a better year, or, I had more touchdowns. And I'm sitting there comparing myself like, yo, this is crazy. How is this even possible? But like, it's so vastly different, everybody's situation, and it will literally just kill you, if you focus on, what everybody else is doing instead of, focusing on what you can control.
I think that what people say, what I know is to be true, that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
It is the thief of joy of just comparison takes it. You're like, all right, I'm going to take off my lenses of gratitude and I'm just going to look at what I don't have and what I could be. If I had that, this would be better, or whatever it may be. And you're right. A lot of that stuff does not matter. But the last question I got for you, what's the next big thing Trey Burton would do if he could not fail? You can't fail.
I
come with them heaters, boy.
Yeah, I guess so. Goodness, you didn't tell me this before I got on the show. Next big thing. I mean, my family and I are really big into, trying to help end trafficking of kids. And so I would really, that'd bring a lot of joy to, not obviously the people that are being rescued and, a lot of people around the world, but like that'd bring a lot of joy to my family and I, like knowing that we were a part, of helping these kids, boys and girls, being rescued from whatever they have going on to them, which is horrible.
Shoot, let me know what you end up partnering with, because I would.
Well, we partner with International Justice Mission. They're the largest. They're IJM. They're the largest anti-trafficking organization in the world, based out of Washington D.C. They got probably, I think now they're at like 15 field offices all around the country. They do different things, from child slavery, from child trafficking to forced labor, whatever, everything that really has to do with children and the way that, they're messed with all around the country. So they do awesome work. They're not just a organization that just goes in there guns blazing. They actually, they rescue these kids and they rehabilitate them and try to get them back out, into life, like they should be, experiencing it, but then also
normal life.
But then they also, they work with the countries as well, and they help teach them and what to look for, help educate them on what the actual problem is, and help, give them resources so that eventually, over a 10 to 15 year period, IJM's out of the country and the country's, enforcing all these rules and laws that they already had in place, but they didn't know how to enforce them. And so that's, kind of what we enjoy doing.
Trey, man, I gotta tell you this, I really look up to you, man. And I hope I can be half the man that you are one day.
No, heck no, dude. No, you're way better man than I am.
Nah, man, come on. You reminded me, so the church I go to here, we're just finishing up a 28-week series on the book of John. Actually, cool. you just reminded me of that. I think we have two more weeks left. It's been awesome. But thank you so much for your time. I really can't wait to see Florida, Georgia. I have a great tailgate that you have to come to, bro.
I'll be there. Say no more.
These people do it this is their Super Bowl. Like they tailgate like there is no tomorrow.
I'll be there. I will be there. It's my 30th birthday is the day before, so I'll be there.
Oh, word!
That's my 30th birthday present.
I actually too. Danny Werfel has a golf tournament too. I'm not sure if you'd be able to come to it, but it's on your birthday. You probably got other stuff going on, but just thought he'd love to have you there. Just if you didn't have anything else. Yeah,
we'll talk about it. But appreciate you having me on here, man. I had a blast.
Appreciate you popping in, man. This is going to be the people are going to love it. But Gator Nation, that was the one and only Trey Burton. Can't wait to see where his life is going next. He is just enjoying being himself right now, just being still and enjoying his family. Anyways, Gator Nation, thank you for your time. Continue to share and subscribe to this podcast. Enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Me and Trey are both on social media. You can find us. Hit us up with your thoughts on the show. And other than that, stay rowdy.